My girlfriend had been filming our hookups and selling them. My girlfriend was a little wild, a little unpredictable, but that was part of the attraction. She had this magnetic energy, always making life feel like a chaotic adventure. But nothing could prepare me for the absolute violation I was about to uncover. Because one day, completely by accident, I found out that she had been secretly filming us during sex and selling the videos. It started when I was using her laptop. My phone was dead, and I needed to check something real quick. She had left her laptop open on the couch, so I figured, why not? That was mistake number one. I opened her browser and typed in a website. But when I clicked the search bar, a list of recently visited sites popped up, and one of them made my stomach drop. It was a premium content site, like the kind where people sell private videos. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she just watched stuff there. No big deal, right? But then I clicked the link, and right there in full HD was a thumbnail of me. I froze. My brain couldn't even process what I was looking at. It was me and her, a video of us, and it was posted under an anonymous profile with a price tag. She was selling them. She was selling them. I clicked on the profile. There were dozens of videos. Some of them were recent. Some were from months ago. I had no idea. I had never consented. I was literally being sold to strangers on the internet. I waited for her to get home. I didn't even try to calm myself down. The second she walked through the door, I held up the laptop and said, "Explain this. Right now." At first, she played dumb. What? What am I looking at? Then she tried gaslighting me. Oh my God, are you seriously invading my privacy right now? I thought I was going to lose my mind. Her privacy? Her. When I kept pressing her, she finally admitted it. Okay, fine. Yes, I filmed us, but it's not a big deal. I needed money, and people were willing to pay. Like that was some kind of valid excuse. I asked her how long she had been doing this. She shrugged. I don't know. Like a year. A year. I was speechless. I asked her how she even got away with it, and she casually said, "I just set up my phone or the webcam. You never notice." Yeah, no sh*t, I never noticed. Because I never thought I had to look for hidden cameras before having sex with my own girlfriend. She kept trying to justify it. It's not like I cheated on you. People pay for this kind of thing all the time. It's just a side hustle. Chill out. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She didn't even seem guilty. Like she genuinely didn't think she did anything wrong. I walked out. I packed my stuff and left that night. I blocked her on everything. Then I had to figure out how to get my videos off the internet. I spent weeks filing reports, contacting websites, and trying to get them taken down. Some sites cooperated. Some didn't. To this day, I have no idea how many people saw those videos before they were deleted, and I will never be able to fully erase them from the internet. I still can't believe it happened. That someone I trusted, someone I loved, could do something so violating and disgusting. Now, I have trust issues. I don't even like hooking up in hotel rooms, because what if there's a hidden camera? Because if my own girlfriend could do this to me, anyone could.
I got a sugar daddy. He ended up being my best friend's dad. Look, I'm not proud of this. I didn't plan on getting a sugar daddy. I wasn't out here scheming for free rent or designer bags. Just happened. And when I found out who he really was, I wanted to crawl into a hole and die. This all started when I was broke as hell. I had just moved to a new city, barely making enough to survive. Rent was kicking my ass, my job paid me in exposure, and I was eating ramen like I was a character in a sad coming-of-age movie. Then one night I got drunk with my roommate, and she jokingly said, "You should just get a sugar daddy." First I laughed. Then I thought about it. Then I Googled it. And before I knew it, I had made a profile on one of those sugar dating sites. You know, the ones where rich old dudes are willing to drop cash on pretty young women for companionship. It didn't take long before I got a message from a guy I'll call Mr. R. His bio was exactly what you'd expect. Some businessman who was too busy for a relationship, but wanted to spoil the right person. The best part. He wasn't creepy. He was charming, generous, and actually fun to talk to. He offered to take me to dinner, and since I was living off instant noodles at the time, I said, "Hell yes." We met at this ridiculously nice steakhouse. The second I walked in, I felt out of place, like I had somehow scammed my way into rich people territory. Then he arrived, and to my relief he was hot. Like not old man gross, but silver fox, salt and pepper hair. Wears expensive cologne hot. Dinner was great. He was funny, confident, and actually listened when I talked. Then, when the check came, he pulled out a black Amex card, which I'm convinced is only given to CEOs and Bond villains, and casually said, "By the way, I'd love to help you out financially. Just something small, to make life easier." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I accidentally became a sugar baby. Started out light. A few fancy dinners, a little spending money, the occasional weekend trip. No weird demands, no pressure, just good company and free luxury. And honestly, felt like I was winning. Until I lost. Hard. A few months in, my best friend Emma invited me to her family's lake house for the weekend. She had been begging me to come for weeks, saying her dad wouldn't be there, so it'd just be us, her brother, and a few friends. Sounded fun, right? Well, we get to the lake house, start unpacking, and I see a photo on the fireplace. And my soul leaves my body. Because staring back at me is Mr. R, my sugar daddy, in a family portrait. Best friend. I immediately started spiraling. This was Emma's dad. My best friend since middle school. And I had been unknowingly sugar babying her father. I had two options. Play it cool and pretend nothing happened. Fake my own death and move to another country. I went with option 3. Full-blown panic attack in the guest bathroom. I spent the next 48 hours avoiding any and all family photos. Emma had no idea. She kept saying, "I can't wait for you to finally meet my dad." Meanwhile, I was contemplating walking into the lake and never coming back. And just when I thought I might survive, Mr. R showed up. He wasn't supposed to be there. Emma's mom had a last-minute emergency, so he came instead. I was sitting on the porch when I heard Emma scream, "Daddy!" And there he was, standing in the driveway, looking directly at me. His face went completely blank. I felt like my entire body had been set on fire. Emma, oblivious as ever, grabbed my arm and said, "Oh my God, come meet my dad." And that's how I ended up shaking hands with my sugar daddy while his daughter stood between us, completely unaware that we had been hooking up for months. After the worst dinner of my life, Mr. R pulled me aside and said, "We need to talk." No asterisk T. We agreed to never speak of it again. He told me he'd be ending the arrangement immediately, which and I ran out of that lake house so fast. I'm surprised I didn't leave a cartoon dust cloud behind me. I never told Emma. To this day she has no idea. And if she ever finds this post, I'm changing my name and leaving the country. I read my late grandma's journal. She might have been a serial killer. My grandma was just a sweet old lady. She baked cookies, knitted ugly sweaters for Christmas, and had a weird obsession with collecting porcelain dolls. But after she died, I found her journal. And now, I'm pretty sure my sweet, innocent grandma was actually a serial killer. When grandma passed away, my family went through the usual grieving process. Funeral, estate stuff, packing up her old house. Since I was the only one who really spent time with her in her later years, I was the one who got all her personal belongings. That's how I ended up with her journal. It was tucked away in a locked wooden box under her bed. My aunt handed it to me and said, "She wanted you to have this." First I thought it was just some cute, sentimental diary. I couldn't have been more wrong. I started reading it that night, expecting to find wholesome grandma thoughts. And at first, that's exactly what it was. Asterisk recipes, gardening notes, complaints about my uncle being an ungrateful prick. Asterisk. But then, I got to an entry titled, "The First One." And that's when I realized this was not a normal journal. Here's what it said. August 3, 1963. The first one was the hardest. But after I got rid of him, it got easier. No one even questioned it. That's when I knew I was good at this. Froze. What the hell was I reading? At first, I thought maybe she was writing a story. Some kind of crime novel? A weird joke. But then I kept reading. And it got worse. Entry after entry, she wrote about different people. Not friends. Not family, just random people she crossed paths with. A coworker she didn't trust. A neighbor who was always snooping. A man at a bar who wouldn't take no for an answer. She didn't outright say she killed them. But she wrote things like, I made sure he wouldn't bother anyone again. Nobody ever found her. They never will. It was easier the second time. This point I was sweating. What the actual FCK? Asterisk asterisk. As I kept digging through her stuff, I found something even worse. Tucked inside the back of the journal were newspaper clippings. Old, yellowed articles about mysterious disappearances in her town. A young waitress who went missing in 1978. A man found dead in a car accident, except there was no evidence of an actual crash. An elderly neighbor who fell down the stairs, even though he was known to use the elevator. And the worst part. The dates matched the journal entries. I wasn't the only one freaked out. I told my mom and my aunt, and at first they laughed it off. But when I showed them the entries, they went silent. Then my aunt said, she always kept the basement locked. And that's when it hit me. Grandma had never let anyone in the basement. Not in my whole life. My mom always said it was just storage, but when we finally opened the door, the first thing we saw was a giant, rusted old freezer. And inside, bags of old, decayed clothing. Clothing that didn't belong to anyone in our family. We called the police. They took the journal, the freezer, and the newspaper clippings. First they thought we were just crazy. Until they started connecting the dots. Some of the missing people in the journal were real, unsolved cases. Cases that stopped right around the time Grandma got old and stopped taking care of things. The cops never found bodies. But they found enough. And now, my grandma might officially be tied to multiple disappearances. Maybe she was just a really morbid storyteller. Maybe she knew something she never told anyone. Or maybe my sweet old grandmother was actually one of the most dangerous women I'll ever know.
My ex sent me a wedding invitation, and the bride was me. Breakups are supposed to be the end. You cry. You eat too much ice cream. You listen to sad music like you're in a dramatic movie montage. Then you move the hell on. At least, that's how normal people do it. But my psycho ex, he didn't just refuse to move on. He planned an entire wedding. And the bride was me. It had been 2 years since I broke up with Ethan. We weren't on speaking terms. We didn't follow each other. We were done. Or at least, I thought we were. Then, one day, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. At first, I didn't even look at it closely. I thought it was from a friend. But when I opened it, I nearly dropped my coffee. Because right there in elegant cursive, it said, Ethan and my actual F asterisk king. Name, asterisk asterisk. The invitation was for my own wedding. Except I had never agreed to any wedding. Because, I wasn't engaged. WTF. At first, I thought it was a joke. Some elaborate prank. Maybe someone messing with me. So I checked the return address. And that's when my stomach dropped. Because it was from Ethan's parents' house. This wasn't a mistake. He actually planned this. I did what any sane person would do. I called Ethan, ready to curse him out. He picked up on the first ring, like he'd been waiting. Hey, babe, he said, all casual. Babe. I ignored the immediate urge to scream. What the actual FCK is this invitation? I asked. He didn't even hesitate. Our wedding, he said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I blinked. We're not together. And that's when he laughed. A slow, calm, unsettling laugh. Not yet. I demanded answers. And what he told me made me feel like I was in a horror movie. He never stopped dating me. In his mind, we were just taking time apart. He had been planning this wedding for months. He had booked a venue, ordered a dress, and even hired a F-King photographer. Asterisk, asterisk. And the worst part? My family was invited. He had sent invitations to my parents, my friends, and even my damn co-workers. Everyone thought we had gotten back together. I was literally the only one who didn't know. I showed up at his parents' house the next day, ready to lose my SH*T. When I got there, he had wedding decorations already set up. Like, I'm talking balloons, floral centerpieces, even a sign that said, "Welcome to our wedding." I was seconds away from setting something on fire. "Ethan," I said, "this isn't happening. You're insane." And the look he gave me? Pure delusion. "You'll change your mind," he said. "You always do." Like I ever had. I told him I was calling the cops. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my wrist and said, "Don't ruin this for us." Us. There was no U.S. I shoved him off and ran out of there so fast. I nearly fell down the stairs. But before I left, I grabbed a stack of invitations and took them with me, because I had evidence now. I filed a restraining order. He showed up at my house once. Cops got involved. The wedding was canceled. By which I mean he finally realized I wasn't coming and lost his SHT over it. Asterisk, asterisk. And the best part? When people asked why we broke up in the first place, I told them the truth. Because he was F-King insane. And now, nobody doubts me. My wife swapped our kid at birth on purpose. I always thought my wife was a little off. Not in an obvious way. Nothing that screamed psychopath. But she had this way of keeping secrets, of always being one step ahead. Like she was playing a game the rest of us didn't know about. Turns out, she was... And I didn't figure it out until it was too late. Our son, Lucas, was born at a small hospital in our town. It was supposed to be a normal delivery. We checked in, went through the whole process, and by the next morning we were parents. Or at least, I thought we were. My wife, Emily, was weirdly possessive of the baby from the start. She wouldn't let the nurses take him for too long. She wouldn't even let me hold him much in the hospital. I figured it was just new mom anxiety. But now, looking back, she was hiding something. As Lucas got older, I started noticing things that didn't add up. For starters, he looked nothing like me. I know, not every kid looks like their dad, but I'm talking zero resemblance. He had dark hair and brown eyes, while both Emily and I were blonde with blue eyes. I even joked about it once, saying, "Are you sure he's mine?" Emily laughed too hard. Then she got weirdly defensive and said, "Not every kid looks like their parents, okay? Stop being ridiculous." So I dropped it. Fast forward 6 years. Lucas had to get some blood work done for a minor health issue. The doctor casually mentioned his blood type, and that's when I froze. His blood type was impossible based on mine and Emily's. Like, scientifically impossible. I felt sick. I didn't say anything to Emily. Instead, I went and got a paternity test. Lucas wasn't mine. But here's the thing. He wasn't Emily's either. Our child had been switched at birth, and I was about to find out that it wasn't an accident. I confronted Emily immediately. At first, she played dumb, tried to gaslight me. Then, when she realized I wasn't backing down, she broke. She admitted it. She had swapped our baby on purpose. She said she had seen the other newborns in the hospital and just decided she wanted a different one. Her exact words? I just knew that other baby was meant to be ours. Like she was picking out a puppy at a shelter. She had literally waited for the right moment, switched the hospital bracelets, and made sure we left with a different baby. I went nuclear. I called the hospital. I called the freaking police. I called a lawyer. And in a matter of weeks, everything came crashing down. The real parents of Lucas were found, and they had been raising our actual son this whole time. Emily was arrested for child endangerment and fraud. The case went to court. She showed no remorse. Meanwhile, I had to meet my real son for the first time. And worse, Lucas had to leave the only parents he had ever known. Where we are now, it's been 2 years since everything went down. Emily is in prison. Lucas and our biological son were returned to their real families. I got joint custody of my real son. But honestly, I still wake up some nights wondering how I didn't see it sooner.